Hi, everyone. This episode is dropping on a Saturday because I wanted to recognize the January 30th freeze in Minnesota. It was important for me to support that. A lot of what I was seeing was the courage of people standing with their values. The theme of courage has been showing up in my social feed, in my conversations, and it got me to wonder what moves us into this state of courage. I had created a blog on stepping into courage in March 2025. I just want you to know when you're feeling the need to be courageous, it starts with our values being tested. When something goes against a value that we hold so dearly, we transition from fear and doubt into action. So hopefully today you'll walk away with some reflections about how you're feeling and how to move forward. Welcome to The Rooted Leader. Hi, I'm Kathleen Wise-Mandel. I'm a scientist, leader for over 20 years, and now a leadership coach. I know that most leaders are busy delivering work, so I created the short leadership minisodes that meet busy leaders where they are, offering insight, reflection, and questions that support growth in the flow of your work. Thank you for joining. I initially thought I would record these episodes in the order of my newsletters, but it became clear that courage was a theme others were interested in. Courage is actually my word for 2026, but I had initially thought courage would show up more professionally for me, aligning more with my values and understanding to create some clarity for my goals this year. But I find that it's showing up quite a bit personally as well. It definitely shows up when our values are not aligned with the way we're acting or where we are. And when we actually stop to feel that difference is so big, we start to feel a little bit of fear that maybe we don't belong here, or maybe I need to make a difference. We can also notice it when we're feeling emotions show up that we haven't felt in a while. And those emotions can be signals for things that are happening. Usually when I talk with clients, I will ask, what sort of values are you holding that might be misaligned right now? Maybe I need to speak up to ensure safety, or just to find a place where I fit. And so today we'll be talking about how we move into courage and why it might be a little bit difficult. And we'll pull from some of the topics from the growth mindset from episode 1 and that imposter syndrome and doubt from episode 2. In the words of theologian Mary Daly, you learn courage by couraging. So I'd like you to think, what does couraging look like for you? Back in March 2025, my blog post was about courage and how we find more of it. When we initially want to move into a more courageous state, especially if we're looking to make a change for ourselves, we can be met with some self-limiting beliefs. And as we mentioned in episode 2 on imposter syndrome, when we are looking to do something new, it can show up as fear or doubt. We are naturally programmed to self-protect. And this happens when we either spot danger or uncertainty because we are wired to keep ourselves safe. And fear of the unknown is really huge when we're trying to evolve into a new purpose. Fear of the unknown and uncertainty causes that doubt. Some of the discomfort when we are moving into living into our values could be that we're going against the way we've been trained or what's been normalized in our society. And that can create some uncertainty for us. It asks us, what if I make a wrong move? What if I make a mistake? What if what I'm trying doesn't work out? And then our brain says, hey, okay, let's just keep you safe. Let's keep you right here. But if we're feeling afraid to take a next step, consider one thing. Are you just uncomfortable or are you in real danger? Or are you just unsure? That's okay. Because as we go into things that are new, there are risks, for sure. From episode 1 of the growth mindset, when that future self doesn't necessarily match our current self, the uncertainty feels even stronger. So it's okay to take small steps. And as we take those small steps, we can minimize that difference and the incongruence. The book, The Courage Gap, 5 Steps to Braver Action by Dr. Margie Warrell, talks about 2 dimensions of courage. One is management of the fear. And even if it's not fear outright, it might be doubt or uncertainty. And the second dimension is willingness to act in the presence of risk. Whether it's real or perceived, when we sense it, we shy away. But what if there was a way for us to really identify the risks and try to mitigate them and plan for them? As I like to remind my clients and my adult kids, it's all about experimentation and exploration to gather data. 3 years ago, when I left my corporate job to start this entrepreneurial journey, I knew there were a lot of risks. I needed to do some things to really minimize those risks. And each step I took, I felt like I learned a little bit more and moved myself closer to feeling more confident in the entrepreneurial role. Dr. Warrell's 5 frameworks include intention. That's just being very clear on what your purpose is. I like to help my clients and myself start with values. These things I can draw on, and I know that if something is rooted in my value, it's really important to me. Number 2 is belief. Really narrow in on what makes you nervous to make the change. What is it that's holding you back? Is it an old story you're telling yourself? Or could it be certain risks that really feel difficult to overcome? What are you currently believing about yourself that keeps you stuck in your current state of mind? The third step is connection. What we want to do is help you rewrite that narrative. And by connection, I mean connect with your body. Notice where you might be holding tension, because our bodies actually recognize the need for courage before our minds do. In addition, we want to connect with those who hold values similar to ours. If we're in a space where we're misaligned, it will cause some confusion. But if we're able to connect with those in our community or in our circle, to be reinvigorated and energized, it will help you to connect to your purpose. These first 3 steps of really understanding your current state and having the self-awareness of what matters to you is setting the foundation for the next steps, which begin with action. We want to connect with those things and habits and behaviors that allow us to start leaning into that future self. Number 4 is action. We're stepping into the newness, and it will feel different. Maybe uncomfortable, like we talked about with the growth mindset, but as we make progress with the small wins, we build momentum. And we can start to envision ourselves more closely as that future self. Number 5 is learning. These things are not linear growth, especially if we're moving on to something bigger. We want to reflect on the learnings that we're having. There will be things that you'll want to change. As you gather information, you may find that your future self vision changes slightly, and that's okay. Perfection is not required. These lessons are data that inform you. I had the honor of speaking with a client of mine in real life this week, and she was sharing a story of moving into courage to speak up about a pattern of behaviors that was impacting those around her. But it didn't happen overnight. She had to weigh not only her values, but what she might lose as she considered having a brave voice. It took time, and that's okay. She reflected on that journey, and the burden that she carried helped inform her of how important it was to have that brave voice. I could see in her eyes how important it was to lean and learn and live into those values, accept the risks, and to move forward. Thank you, friend. So the 3 takeaways from today's episode on courage is 1, our need for courage begins with our values. Those values inform us that maybe a change needs to be made. 2, when those values are challenged so deeply, our body and mind take notice first. Understand why that change might be needed for you. And 3, stepping into courage means understanding the feelings of uncertainty, moving you into that next future state, and then creating small action steps to build momentum. So here are a few reflection questions for you to consider as you're moving into courage. If you have an opportunity to pause the podcast after each question to self-reflect, or you can pause between questions to reflect in a journal. What goal are you considering but haven't yet acted upon? How does it show up as your future vision for yourself? What story are you telling yourself about this goal that's holding you back? If it's too big, are there other smaller steps you could take? Is there information that can help you feel a little less uncertain and build in certainty? How does this goal or future state align with your future vision of yourself? And how do your values and your strengths contribute to the future vision? As we get more clarity on some of these things, I hope you'll find that you start to find a little more courage. And courage can have a little C or a big C. We know that there's a lot of big C courage out there in our world right now. Don't be afraid to take small steps. Practice, iterate, learn more about yourself, gather information, and don't be afraid to lean into your future dreams. This morning I was looking at social media and I found this beautiful poem on courage by Alicia Quinn Poems on Instagram. They write, "Don't forget to remind yourself how much courage it has taken for you to use your voice, even when it has quivered." I think it's a good reminder that even if we're uncertain, continue to believe in yourself and believe in your future self. Thank you for joining the Rooted Leader podcast. And if today's minisode sparked something for you, take a moment to reflect on the questions in the show notes. You'll find links and resources there as well. If you'd like to share a thought or a question for a future episode, you can email me at therootedleaderpodcast@gmail.com or reply directly on the Rooted Leader Substack. Please be sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Until next time, stay rooted in authenticity and empathy. Thank you.